Where are you from?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. You get the Southern accent. Did you grow up there?
Yeah.
Did you go born and raised?
Yeah, I was there forever. I'm in Tennessee now, though. Durham, North Carolina.
Durham? Yeah, I like that area.
Yeah, it's cool.
I spent a lot of time in Raleigh, Durham.
Yeah. No, see, you can't say Raleigh, Durham. I'm from Durham, not Raleigh.
Oh, it's from Durham. That's right. It's just Durham. Yeah, that's cool.
So, what's up, Kamille? Welcome to our show. Why don't you give us a little bit of your background, because you look very athletic, Joe, our producer, was telling me you played softball. I could tell you played something. Is that your background, fitness, anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I came out of the womb basically playing sports. Like, my dad used to tape up dollar bills on the beams and stuff to get us to practice our jumping and everything like that. So, throwing balloons at us for hand-eye coordination. So, ever since I was young, I've been playing sports. I played a little bit of everything growing up, and then ended up going to college, Division I for softball. And then
where did you play?
Kamille University.
Right.
It's near Fort Bragg in Fayetteville. It's in a place called Bowie's Creek, North Carolina. But yeah, it's just a small D1.
Where in North Carolina?
Bowie's Creek.
I thought you said Boobies Creek.
No.
Right, right.
You'll have to excuse him. He's an old suburb.
Yeah, no, I just thought you said Boobies Creek, but there's a lot of redneck towns like in the South that are kind of like that. They have these like weird names and stuff, Yeah. I grew up in Atlanta, so I was born in Brooklyn. Raised in Atlanta, so I'm raised in the South. Marietta, Georgia. So I was like, I know the South. So
yeah, right. Yeah, Atlanta's its own animal. But and then I had my degree from college, tried to do the normal job type of thing, and that just was not it for me. And came across wrestling, and then while I was wrestling, a lot of people think that I just stopped wrestling and did the football thing, but I knew I was going to go to the Indies, and I was like, well, what's my gimmick going to be? And I was like, my friend told me a long time ago that I would be good in the LFL, which is Legends Football League. So it's like a female professional football league.
Let me ask you a question.
Is it lingerie football or just a regular football?
Well, it used to be lingerie, but they rebranded to it just being Legends.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's kind of ridiculous? Oh, we got to change it from lingerie to Legends to be politically correct, if that was the reason? Or were you down with the reason they gave, or what was up with that?
Well, they had already rebranded by the time that I got there. I think that, I will say, because when it was lingerie football, it was kind of like silly. Like, it wasn't that serious. It wasn't really good football players. It was a lot of kind of models running around, and so eye candy. When I played, it was bitches killing one another, like big, thick bitches going at it. And and I mean, we still wore. I would compare it more to like what beach volleyball players wear, type of thing. Yeah,
I just saw the picture because I was looking for you in the Atlanta Steam. I could not find you, but bro, those girls, they were like straight up wearing thongs, basically. There was ass everywhere. Well, I played for Atlanta, so the girls in Atlanta had big old booties. So so the uniform you get is one size fits all. So like you see in the locker rooms, the girls would have the things. They would spread them out over the chairs to try to get them to stretch out before the games. But it was what it was.
So you had an athletic background. Were your parents athletes?
Yeah, I mean, my dad also played. He played all sports growing up, and then he played slow pitch softball for a really long time. And my mom, my dad said he married my mom because she won like the Presidential Fitness Award lots of times, and he wanted to have athletic babies with her. So,
how tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
How tall are your parents?
I mean, normal. Like my dad's probably 6'1". My mom's probably 5'7".
Right. So you have average short. You're tall. Yeah. So do you have any brothers and sisters?
I have a brother. He's probably 6'1", about the same as my dad.
But he's your age. Did you compete against him a lot growing up?
Oh, yeah. Like, I always wanted to hang out with my brother. We hung out a lot, like, when I was little. But then, obviously, he got older and had his friends. But I always try to play with them. But then he was like, no, you can't play with us anymore, type of thing.
How long, let me say, so you were a good athlete growing up. How long were you cool, like competitive playing against the boys? What age were you good, like, competitive against the boys?
Yeah, because my dad, actually, he put, like, so I played Little League Baseball for a while, and like moms used to complain about like a girl playing in the league, and I was a catcher. But actually, a funny story: my mom is a dental assistant, and she was working on someone in the chair, and the woman was going on and complaining about this girl that was playing on her son's team, blah blah blah, and it ended up being she was like, "Oh, that's my daughter." So funny story.
Whoops.
But I got playing with the boys because like when I played with the girls growing up. The parents used to complain and said that I would endanger their kids when I was up to bat. And, like, they checked my bat to see if there was stuff in it. And, like, they were trying to make
cork bat?
Yeah, they were trying to make me bat left-handed and stuff like that. Like, it was crazy. And so I played with the boys up until middle school. Middle school, because I played rec ball with the boys, because that's when you could. And then middle school, once you get into 7th grade, at least where I'm from, you can start playing middle school sports. So from there, I just, obviously played with the girls.
Now, Kamille, you said that you got into wrestling. How did you get into wrestling?
So I grew up watching it with my dad, and then, I get into high school.
How old are you, by the way? How old are you?
I'm 28.
28.
Yeah. But, just WWE type stuff. Like Edge was my favorite wrestler. I freaking loved Edge. Hardy Boys, because I'm from North Carolina. Right. And we went to a couple shows that I don't know what it is anymore, but
Shane Helms is from North Carolina.
You weren't a fan of Shane. Please say you weren't a fan of Shane Helms. It'd be better for the show if you said you were not a fan of Shane Helms.
Yes.
I mean, I liked his little gimmick and all, but I wasn't like the biggest Hurricane fan.
Wow, she just
good. She buried her Hurricane.
Give that to Hughley.
Yeah. Give that to Hughley, right?
Go ahead
for the soundbite.
No, I like Shane. He's a cool dude.
He's our boy, but we bury each other. You know how it is.
Yeah, you know how it is.
But yeah, and then didn't, watch it in high school, kind of fell off watching it. And like I said, I tried to have the normal jobs, use my degree, and I moved back home for a little bit just to kind of figure out what I'm doing with my life.
After the LFL?
No, this was after I worked for the Sacramento Kings right out of college.
Did you really? What'd you do there?
I did ticket sales.
Right.
Because we could go on for days, but long story short, I wanted to get into like sports broadcast, but my path kind of changed in college because of things.
You look like a sports broadcaster.
Yeah, I wanted to be Aaron Andrews.
I mean, you have the look of like something that ESPN, and you speak well. Some of the ESPN will want to use, like, that's a big thing these days. It's like there are a lot of females that are getting into sports broadcasting, and they're very successful at it.
Yeah,
and a lot of them are very good at it.
Yeah, that was my dream. That was my dream to do that. But then life kind of took me away from it, and then by the time that I graduated, life happened again, and I wanted to get back into it, but it was a little too late. So in my head, I didn't know any better. I was like, well, if I just work for a sports team, somehow I'll find my way into it. And but then I realized, like, I hated it there. I hated that professional having, because I'll talk to you and I'll cuss with you, and I don't know. I'm just very about like mutual respect. I can't play. I'm not good at being professional. That sounds terrible, but it just is what it is. And then I moved to Texas, and that job that I had there was actually really good.
Quick sidebar.
What was that?
Quick sidebar. Conan, do you remember Sacramento at the Arco, right? They used to have we used to have catering, right? Sacramento always had like one of the best caterings ever.
Really?
It was we go up. Remember, we go upstairs, and they had a big room, and they'd always have tons of food spread out. It was always fantastic. But we always like going to the Arco. That was a professional building, So
yeah,
that's my.
Funny enough, the what would you call him? Not DJ, but the mic guy at the games, the basketball games, that does all the hype up the crowd stuff.
Right.
Huge wrestling fan. He was the and he was the only one that was nice to me. If you were a really bad salesperson, you'd come into my presentation, and I would just go on for an hour. Like, I had to memorize an hour-long script. And I actually really liked that job, but the company ended up folding, and so I was like, "Shit, now what do I do?" And that's when I moved home for a little bit, and then that led me.
This whole time you're into fitness and working out, though, right? You're still like, have you been in work fit the whole time, like an active lifestyle?
Never like this. Never like. I mean, I always went to the gym, but it was kind of just based off of like stuff I did in college and just trying to keep fit. I never focused on like aesthetics and bodybuilding. Right. You know what I mean? So. One night my dad was like, "Hey, you want to go to this show, this independent show?" Like, it was in the boondocks somewhere, like near the Virginia, North Carolina line, out in the middle of nowhere. And it was raw, and it was such a bad show, but I was having so much fun. Like, it was hilarious to me. And then I woke up the next morning.
Those southern indies can get a little, there's always like a handful, like 3 or 4 really good workers on the show, and the rest of them are like the southern backyard crew. I don't think
there was even a handful there. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, it was bad, and like the ceilings are really low, so when people go to the top rope, I mean, it was just a shit show.
I grew up working those for years. I've worked those shows in North Carolina for years.
There is nothing better than going to an indie-rific show where everything's brutal. It's like, wow, this is and
the crowd's popping.
The level of incompetence
that
awful. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. And then I just kind of woke up the next day, and I was like, holy shit. Like, there was a time period in my life where I did acting too. And so I was like, I've done acting. I'm an athlete. Like, this is the best of both worlds. Like, why haven't I thought about this before? And then I just Googled how to become a professional wrestler and found out you have to go to a school and stuff. And then so I packed up my bags and I just drove down to Florida. I didn't tell my mom what I was doing because I knew she would worry.
So where did you go to train?
I told her the Dudley Boys School, 3D.
Right.
Yeah. So I was there.
How many students do they have there?
2016.
So 2016. So how many students are in you start? How many students they have there?
Oh God,
green is your first day. How many people are there?
I'm the worst with numbers. I'd say like 30.
Oh, so they have a lot of people. He's got a big school then.
Yeah, I mean, and that's in all because when I got there, it's beginners. So beginners might have 17 or so.
So when you first when I grew up, when I broke into wrestling, I had been a student of it for years. I watched 15 hours of wrestling every week for 10 straight years because they had a lot in Atlanta you could watch, right, on TV there. And so when I broke in, the first couple days of class, I don't know how that was for you, but I picked up stuff right instantly. Mm-hmm. They told me to hit the ropes, I hit the ropes perfectly. It's wow, there's and then they told me to bump, I bumped perfectly. I was the first two of the most important things I had. They're you've got this after the first couple days. You know? So what did you find out that was easier than you thought it would be, and what did you find out that was far more difficult than you thought it'd be? When you first started.
Well, we weren't even allowed to get into the ring until we were there for a few days and did some physical stuff. They have this guy named Dan Carr there, old crazy man. He made American Gladiators. He's just out of his mind. And so you'd have to do stuff called MEs, which is muscular endurance. So you'd have to prove yourself doing those, and then you finally made it into the ring. And then in the ring, what did we do? You would just do kind of chain wrestling before you even did bump day.
Lock up, headlocks, the chain, the chain stuff, right.
And then
takeover,
when bump day came, that was almost like a little mini graduation, your bump day. And bump day was you sit there and you have to hold in a squat position until Devon blew the whistle. I mean, and your legs were shaking. It was like a rite of passage type of thing. And I'd say probably hitting the ropes was... the biggest surprise to me as far as if your body's not used to that, how it kind of hurt.
Your little bruises, yeah.
Yeah.
You got those crazy bruises on your thing. Why did I get this? Right.
I took so many pictures of look at all that, you were all proud of your bruises and stuff. But I will say one thing I learned, this is kind of a little side story. So when I first moved to Florida, I was well, I'm going to have to get a job. Obviously, I need money while I'm here. So I printed out my resumes and I dressed up and I was driving around and I thought about it. I was the performance center is here. So why don't I just drive by the performance center and give them because I was I can work there doing some creative stuff or something and then become a wrestler. I didn't know any better. I didn't know how any of this worked. Right. So I somehow online, I find the address to the performance center. I did, I'm a female. I'm good at detective work.
2016?
Yeah, 2016.
Okay. Right.
And then I show up there and it's all blacked out on the outside and I'm a little bit nervous. I'm I don't know if I should do this or not. I was fuck it. So I went up and I buzzed the buzzer and they were hey, can we help you? And I was hi, I just moved here. I'm looking for a job and I'm also interested in becoming a wrestler.
Right.
And they're 1 second. And then they ended up letting me in.
Let me take a wild guess. Did you meet Terry Taylor?
No, I did not.
Oh, interesting. I would have thought he would be the first guy that you would see Terry Taylor. They tell him, "Hey, there's an attractive girl here for Terry. Go, let me go pay her right now." From Konnan, that's what you would think, right? Because we worked with Terry for years, so that's what I would assume he would want to go meet you. So, so what happened next?
I met a guy named David Bailey. I guess he was the manager of the building or I don't know, something like that. He ended up getting me Canyon's contact information, sent Canyon an email, boom, got a tryout, right? So I show up to school 2 days later, my first day at school, and I'm asking people, I was oh, have you had a tryout yet? They were no, you have to be doing this for years before you get a tryout, blah, blah. And I was oh, shit. I didn't tell nobody that I had a tryout coming up because I knew I would get heat, which I didn't know what heat was then, but I knew I would get people would not like that I had already made connections there or whatnot. And so, yeah, that was a big lesson I learned that there's a lot of haters in wrestling. So
I got two questions.
Yeah.
Number one is, how was it when you went to Mexico? Because you were down there wrestling for Nación with ADR. What was that like?
I had a lot of fun doing that. I mean, that was my first time in Mexico. I will say that was also learning. So before it all started, we were doing a press thing down there, and they're supposed to send me my flights, and I'm used to getting my flights way in advance, blah, blah, blah. I didn't get my flight until like
the day before,
10 o'clock the night before. And I remember I was freaking out to my fiance. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go alone. I don't know what to do. Like, this is a mess. So I was kind of worried about that. But then when I got there.
There's two terms you have to remember. Mexican time.
Yeah.
Very different than American time. And Mexican style, which is very different than American style. Yeah. Things are rush over there. Everything's last minute. Nobody worries about shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know
you're the
any
right
of
country.
this.
Yeah, it wasn't you. It's us.
Yeah. But the people over there were great. Like, they treated me so well, so welcoming, so nice. And I had a really fun time. And it was fun for me because at that time I was Kamille in NWA, who was not talking at all.
Right.
But in Nacion, I was like the female leader of like our group and our like American group. And I got to talk. So that was a lot of fun. And I loved being a heel and just get boos and getting stuff thrown at us. Like, I loved it.
Now, second question, how did you end up with virtually no experience in NWA?
So I did indies for a little bit, and only for like 6 to 8 months.
So like, but was that, did that include 2 shows a weekend, like doing it every weekend?
Yeah, almost every weekend.
Right.
A lot in Florida, because there was a lot of Florida indies going on, and then a lot in Atlanta. Like, I actually got a lot of my like original fan base in Atlanta. That was like my favorite show to work.
So who were you working against? Like who? Like, were there some regular? Because I imagine it's not in 2016. There's not a lot of girls. You know, it's probably more than usual. But like, when you're working,
Shotzi.
Right. She works for Shotzi. Okay, she's good.
Shotzi. Sue Young.
Yeah.
Right. I know her.
I'm trying to think. Kiera Hogan, who's with Impact.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the names that I can like remember offhand that you would know of now.
Right.
But I mean, for the most part, I had heat with the school for a little bit actually because so when I had my WWE tryout, basically it was the biggest female talent like tryout they had because they were looking for people for the Mae Young, their first ever Mae Young. And what Canyon told me, he was like, we really like you. You have a great look. You're athletic. You have no experience right now. So, and we were looking for girls that are ready to go, TV ready. He was like, just go out, work, get some experience, and then we'll talk later. And so I went back to school with that. And I was like, I need to start working shows. That's how you learn, going out and making mistakes and working shows. And
working good workers is the main thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. And I mean, in their defense at the school, they want the people that go out with, their name on them to be 100% ready. So I get that, but I was like, fuck it. I need to go work. So that's when I decided I was like, maybe if I take a little bit of time off and go do this football thing and then come back, there'll be enough downtime in between where like I won't get in trouble for it. That's what I was thinking. Right. So I came back from football. I did like a run-in somewhere and did a spear. Next thing you know, I have a call from Devon. I'm in trouble. And I hadn't been to school. I hadn't heard from them in 4 months or something like that.
Did you pay him everything you want? Like, did you pay him in full?
Yeah, I was good on that stuff. I was all good there.
All right.
But so there was a little bit of heat there for a while, but now we're all now.
Why is there heat there? What? Because you went and worked, did a spot on a show, but they didn't think you were completely trained from them, or is it what? Where's the heat?
The head nod, the go ahead to go start working. It was just
so you had to get permission to do that from them, kind of.
I
understand.
Contract to them?
No. So
it was just a respect thing.
It's like a respect thing. It's like an unspoken type of rule almost.
Like many rules that you don't know about until you fuck up, and then they're like,
right.
But you know what?
You have heat for that, and it's so stupid because, like, when we were in WCW, listen to this stupid heat. Like, if you were if you weren't a top star, right, and any girl was dating you, they would get heat from the top guys, and both of you would. It's like, hey, motherfucker, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, if you were in first class, even if you upgraded. What's he doing in first class? Those type of silly, stupid games that there's no reason for them to even exist.
Mm-hmm.
And they still exist in one form or another to this day.
Yeah, for sure.
If you have a great look, you have a great look. You know what I'm saying? Which you have a great look. Like you and Aldous together, that's incredible look, incredible chemistry. like Scarlett and Kevin Cross. Incredible. They look great together.
Yeah.
And I mean, you just look like a star just standing there. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
So, what happens? NWA's done a really good job with you. I hope you know that.
Well, here's what I hear. So you get a little bit of heat from Devon for performing on the show. Now, how are we getting from here into end up working for NWA? What period are we here in now?
So then, I dated someone that was with WWE for a while, and then so I saw.
Can you tell us who?
His name is Adam.
Okay.
But basically, that kind of showed me a lot of like that world, on a different scale. And he also wasn't really too pleased about the fact that I was a wrestler. He didn't really want to date anybody else in the business. And I'm a hopeless romantic, so I picked love over wrestling for a while, and that ended up not happening. And so then I was back home again for a little bit, and I was like, damn, I kind of miss wrestling, but I don't know how to get back into it. Like, it's been a while. And randomly I get a call from David Lagana, and he was just like, hey, are you really done wrestling? And I was like, I don't know. Why? What you got? And then he explained to me this role with Nick. And he also explained, because like he said that it might just be for this pay-per-view. We don't know what's going to happen with it. We're just going to see. So I was like, screw it. Let's try it out. And it ended up working out. And now I'm here.
Beautiful, man. Like I said, they've done a great job with you, and I'm sure you're learning a lot from Nick. He's a consummate professional and also sponsors Legacy Supplements on our show.
Yes,
so
he
shouts
does.
out to Nick for that.
Yeah, we got some of those here.
Yeah, and he always looks very dapper. There you go. Kamille is putting it over too for all the people that have been buying some of the Legacy supplements. She uses them herself.
Yep.
So tell us about this, the NWA pay-per-view When Shadows Fall, which airs live June 6th at 4 p.m. Who are you going up there?
4 p.m.? They're going to pay-per-view at 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah.
I can watch it before I go to work. That's actually pretty cool.
There you go.
The last one was like that, too, yeah.
Interesting.
What can you tell us about that show, and who are you going to be wrestling? I think it's Thunder Rosa?
So at the first pay-per-view, I beat Thunder Rosa for the #1 contendership. And right now, she was saying that she needs another chance, blah, blah, blah. So I decided to give her another chance with stipulations. So on next week's episode, we wrestle to see who keeps that #1 contendership. And then that leads into pay-per-views.
You should say you don't really care because you're going to whoop that ass. So,
yeah, exactly.
Right. Why are you asking me this question?
Yeah.
So you're burying me. All right. Thank you. Any other matches on that pay-per-view we should be looking out for?
We're trying to get the scoop,
yeah,
okay?
I'm trying to get whatever I can, bro. This is what I do for a living. You know what I'm saying? Do you watch any other shows besides? Do you watch any other wrestling shows? And if so, which ones?
Well, if it were up to me, I would just only watch a whole bunch of old stuff on YouTube and whatnot. But occasionally,
what are you a fan of? Like, what's old stuff do you on YouTube, for instance?
Oh, I love Sid Vicious.
That's cool. That's good. It's a guilty pleasure. He's a guilty pleasure.
I was told by Homicide to watch a lot of Bruiser Brody. And,
do you work like that? What's your style? What would you consider your style like? Do you throw a good punch?
I don't know. I really threw my first one on TV at taping, so we'll see how it comes out next week.
We'll get the star ratings.
Wait a minute.
The star ratings on it.
To watch Bruiser Brody, which is basically a complete annihilation, destruction, and no selling of anything.
Just
who else did he tell
punch everybody and beat up? Yeah, right.
That's great.
Who else did he tell you to watch?
Early Road Warriors.
If he told you to watch Bruiser Brody, this is your match. Just go in, kick the person, get him in the corner, clobber him, pick him up, give him a slam, hit the ropes, drop a knee on him, give him another slam, clobber him with.
and she's got a bark.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
He's got a bark.
No sell, nothing.
It's an old school skill. The guy didn't do nothing except beat people up. That was his style.
Have you seen Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen in Japan?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. You, Kamille.
Yeah, I've seen that match.
But bro, they sold nothing for anybody. They even beat up the fans coming to the ring. How great was that?
I love it though. Like,
of course you love it. I loved it too.
Yeah, it's just that's what I'm saying.
Nobody does that anymore.
No.
So who else do you watch? Old school stuff.
Oh, a lot of Brock Lesnar. I fucking love Brock Lesnar.
He's the man.
I love it. And people hate on him, but I'm like, you guys hate him because he's great. Like, he's
He's just, he's not a very social person. He's always been very cool with me, but he's just not a very social person.
I like how you like watching wrestlers where the fan suspension of disbelief is in the right place when they're watching them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's important because, like, people like, you see a generation of wrestlers that are growing up watching all the acrobats, and it's just, they're just learning how to die and fly. But then you're watching people that are learning the old school, people that used to beat people up, and it's like you're wrestling that. All of a sudden, you look more realistic on the show than the other
that's the best
performers
story to tell. It looks the most effective, and everybody can understand it, and everybody can get behind it. Now, this is coming from me that I love lucha. You know, like, that's my thing. But I also understand, when you're effective and you're physical and you're believable, that outdoes everything else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, if you want to build, if you're a promoter and you got two guys, the heat's really building, and you're building up to a big match, that's a fight. It needs to look like a fight. You need to look like you know how to fight. If you don't look like you know how to fight, the fans see through that. Then you're just a performer. They'll applaud your moves and stuff. But if they think you can fight, you look like you can fight, they just get into the match differently. And you probably see
hook them.
Yeah,
but
you hook them.
That's the thing. Like you said, you mentioned the word follow, right? Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I don't play enough video games. But a lot of the stuff now that I watch, I don't give a fuck because I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the fuck's going on, and that's why I like the old stuff because it's slow enough for me where it picks up pace. It's not like it's slow the whole time. It picks up pace where it needs to pick up pace, and I can follow what's going on. And at the end of the match, I can remember what happened. Whereas now it's just 1, 2, 3. I don't know what the fuck just happened. No idea.
Yeah, there's 9 false finishes. You can't. You remember there was a million false finishes. You can't remember what one of them looked like.
Right.
It's just like everything.
They're doing the 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag.
Yep.
Everybody's trying to get pops. Everybody's trying to get chants. Everybody's trying to get. You know what I'm saying?
All the moves on the neck.
And they miss the real art. They think that the art is flying, and that is a certain art. But the real art is the storytelling.
Well, your biggest asset is you're bigger than all these girls. So you should have your matches should be very simple.
Well, you would think,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm grateful for agents and stuff like that. Because I will say, especially small girls, they think they got something to prove, or they think they're bigger than they are, and I'm like, do you want me to take a picture of us side by side right now and see, because if we're out on the streets, I'm whooping your fucking ass.
Bro, I bring this up all the time to Disco on the show. It's very hard for me, and I'm not minimizing their talents. It's very hard for me. That's why, did you see recently the feud between Tamina and Nia Jax?
No.
Bro, they literally, go out of your way and watch it. They literally beat the fuck out of each other. Two big girls just bringing it. And I was like, wow, I can get into
complicated
that.
spots or anything.
Yeah,
just clobbering each other.
Right,
And it looked good. It was perversely. It was I'm not entertained by their work, but I'm entertained by them working together
beating
for some reason.
When I see two girls that are 5'3" trying to get physical with each other or anybody else, I'm not believing it because they don't bring the same physicality that a big girl does, like a Rhea Ripley, Mercedes Martin. They bring it.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? And I like that. You know what I'm saying?
Kamille,
you're right.
Who's the agent you work with most at NWA?
A lot with Homicide. Trevor Murdoch.
Homicide, yes.
He helps a lot too with the girls' matches. For the most part, we are kind of, you put it together on your own and then run it by him. And that, that's it. But Homicide's great. He knows exactly what every person, what works for them, what's not going to work for them, what works for the match. I love Homicide. He's awesome.
He's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else before we get out of here? Anything you want to plug? Anything big that you want to, your Twitter, your socials, any project that you might be that we need to look out for?
So I don't have a Twitter anymore because I was like, I can't deal with these people.
We got Instagram. I see your Instagram.
I do. Yes, I got Instagram. If you guys want to follow me there, it's at Kamille Brickhouse. That's my Instagram. And really all I want to say is just make sure everyone buys that pay-per-view coming up on June 6th. June 6th,
right. June 6th at 4 p.m. It's called When Shadows Fall.
On Fight TV.
On Fight TV.
Yep.
Support what Nick Aldis and Corrigan's doing over there. Our boy Pat Kenny's over there too, doing great things. You know, I've said this before, and I said this a long time ago. I like NWA. I like the pacing. I like the old school feel of it. I like the 1 hour thing. There was a time there when like Eli was there and Eddie was there and, you know, Nick, obviously. You just had some really great talkers, you know.
Yeah.
And it's hard because we're all at the mercy, even AAA where I work for, of, you know, AEW and WWE. Once somebody blows up, they just take them, and you got to constantly be finding new talent. You know?
Yeah.
And I can see big things for you in the future, and, you know, I want to thank you very much for being on, keeping it 100. Boom.
Thank you.